What's going on, guys? I have one of the best sales call reviews that we've recorded in a very, very long time. I hopped on the phone with our student, Kyle Lamb, who pretty much laid down a flawless sales call until the very end. And financial objections are extremely, extremely common when it comes to any sort of sale. So whatever industry that you're in, you're always going to get financial objections. And so we lay out a very clear and easy way to overcome financial objections and do so in a way that's not pushy, not salesy, and ultimately gets the sale in the end. So I'm very excited. This is going to be a long call review, but I really recommend listening to the entire thing because for the majority of the call, Kyle does an excellent job at going through his discovery process, also going through his offer. And so if you guys can match as closely to Kyle as possible, you guys will have a very, very, very awesome pitch and presentation. Even go into what he did well on the call as well. So there's going to be a ton of value in this training. And at the end, when we get that objection, I go into detail on why he got the objection, how to handle the objection, and how to do so better in the future. So guys, save this video, share it with a friend, and let's dive into it. Yo, how we doing, bro? How's life? How's 2024?
I'm good. 2024 has been good. It's been all right. Not bad. Just chilling, business stuff, showing up, trying to continue to grow.
Good.
Competed. That was cool. So,
Nice. I saw that, dude. Congrats.
yeah, thank you. How are you?
Good, man. January was fucking awesome. February has been absolute fucking dog shit. But that means that March is going to be somewhere right in the middle, which is
I
good.
hope to have the same.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, dude, what's new? What's the goals? What's the plan? How's 2024 looking for you so far? I mean, not so far, but like projected.
Projecting, honestly, just trying to clock 10K months. That's like kind of the minimum that I'm setting. And I've been getting in my head lately about like when I fall short of that. In terms of growth, just continue to grow the Instagram. I'd love to see just continued growth on my page. Love to venture into the idea of onboarding like more, not more, but onboarding staff in terms of like either hiring an AC or a VA, kind of just managing my own roster right now. I went through a really big transition because I moved from the old trainer I set up to my coach AI, and that was a lot more caused a lot more friction than I imagined in terms
Mhm.
of like moving to a new system that is supposed to be more optimal and more efficient or whatever. I just think I was still a little early. Like they still have some kinks to sort out, and then I didn't expect as much back from my clients just because everybody hates change. So and I kind of do that to them, forcing them to do that. It's kind of their so yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, just continue to keep growing, bro, and just keep chugging along. So,
Cool, man. I heard you're going to Nick's Mastermind in Austin.
dude, yeah, who'd you hear that from?
Wanda.
Of course, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was nervous about going. She hit me up about it, and then I didn't even know if I was going to go or not because I'm actually going to be traveling the week after. She was going, and then I heard that Josh was going to go. And for me, it was like if I had somewhere to stay, I'd go. And he kind of found a hotel, and I'm excited about it.
Good, man.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
it'll be
gonna be
cool.
good. Nick's stuff is fucking fire.
It's crazy, dude. His stuff is super intense, and yeah, it's a lot to take in. So I'm excited to kind of have a in-person retreat with that. So
Good. All right, brother. You ready to dive into this call review?
I am.
All right, give me a little bit of context. Was this a call that you got stuck with? What happened? Just give me context before going in.
It's just like a normal kind of structured call in terms of like I was just DM outreaching. He had either liked one of my posts or followed me or something like that. I reached out, DM'd him, was like, "Hey, bro, appreciate the stuff." Just the really basic things, Asked him about goals, struggles, motivation. Booked this disco call. There were some like scheduling concerns, but it was with his work schedule. Booked the sales call, and then it ended up like I was supposed to have the call with him at like in the morning, and then he texted me that morning of, was like kind of flaky about it, and then we ended up hopping on a call last night, which is just kind of last minute. But prefacing it, like he is, I mean, 5'4", 32, guys like 230. He's currently doing Lent, which sounds like his thing that he commits to every single year in terms of like he kind of just does like that and like for like nutrition and like working out, and like that's like what he does. Outside of that, he doesn't sound like he had a super healthy lifestyle, had some bad habits, and I thought I had him, obviously as we always do. I was like, this
Mhm.
is going to be easy close. He's giving me all the green flags and went through my sales script, and I was like, plugging and playing, and I was like, this is going to be easy. Like I got this in the bag. And then even through the sales call, it was like easy. Like he was just giving me so much more information that I was like, this is great. I'm having him reaffirm this is for him. He needs to commit, he needs this, and this is exactly what, he needs to just, this is the opportunity he needs. Right. And then it was all smooth sailing. And obviously the price objection happened, and it was just got to the price, and he kind of just like, I don't want to say he froze, but he kind of like just clammed up and just like immediately shut down. And then I thought I did a pretty good job of like handling that objection, and I kept like kind of pushing a little bit, and I just wasn't really getting anywhere. And it got to the point where I kind of ran out of things to say. He definitely ran out of things to say after the first like 2 minutes of that. And I could kind of tell he was just really uncomfortable just from like me kind of being like, bro, you just need to do this, commit to it. This is what you need. You told me. And I kind of obviously tried it back to his reasonings. And yeah, he was just like, I'll get back to you in a few months when I have, more financial stability and I can, he was worried about just his finances in terms of like he can't commit to anything because he doesn't want the rug pulled from under him. Just usual kind of bullshit. So
Cool. All right. Sounds like you crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I was like, that's why I texted you because I was like, this is a good one because I feel like I did everything correctly, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see from your perspective.
let's take a listen. Do you mind emailing me the call?
Yeah, hang on one sec. Which email? The usual email? Just the
Yeah.
same. It's uploading. I would have done this to you sent it to you last night. What's new with you, bro?
Let's see. What is new? I'm getting married in September.
Crazy.
We have a mastermind in March, which I'm excited about. And everything up until September is just going to be grind time. We plan on going fucking big. We're doing like a Europe trip after the wedding. So I'm pretty much locking in and making that like the fucking trip of the
The
year.
kind of the finish line. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's cool.
All right. Just waiting for it to come through.
It's still uploading. Are we going to go through like the entire call or just kind of the objection part?
I will play it on 2x speed.
Okay.
Yeah, because like a lot of the objection stuff, there's red flags that happen in the very like every single point
Depends
of the
if
call.
I handled it beforehand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
It's almost there. It's right there.
All right, there we go. I got it. Antonio fail.
Well, that's how I label my sales calls. I just put their name and then success or fail.
Still processing.
I didn't even look at how long it was. It was about an hour. Like if this is a sales call to get reviewed on, this is the sales call.
Cool.
I kind of, like I said, I went through the usual script. I felt like I prepared really well. I felt like I handled the objection pretty well.
All right,
obviously not, but yeah.
So I'm just going to let it play through. I'm going to play it at 2x speed. I'm going to pause where I, have input, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's get going. So obviously today was just a little bit mixed with thumbs up, but again, I want to thank you for your time. The purpose of today's call is just to go further into detail in terms of like what we discussed initially. So kind of uncovering, how we're going to essentially change your life in terms of mapping you out from where you are now to where you want to be, right? I want to talk about everything that was previously discussed in our past call. So essentially, your goals, your struggles, your motivation. And I want to also go into detail those 4 pillars I talked about, right? So the training, nutrition, accountability, mindset, how that all applies to you and how we're going to basically take you from your current situation, apply those 4 pillars, give you a solution, give you a roadmap, and take you exactly from where you are now to those goals to where you want to be. And at the end, obviously, we'll go over any questions you have. And then at the end of the call, I just need a decision from you in terms of how you'd like to move forward. Sound good? Yeah. Yeah. And also, if you need me to slow down or anything like that, I know that I talk really fast, just, interrupt me, tell me to repeat something. But I know that I can kind of go over things really. So I want to ask you a first initial question. I know that I just explained the purpose of the call, but I want to ask you, why are we on the call today?
Well, me, I've always kind of struggled with the physicality of my body, I guess. So I tend to follow a lot of people on Instagrams, and yours happens to be one of those accounts. And usually I just take in tips from whatever videos I see. I never really interact or anything. So the fact that you reached out, I'm like, dude, if someone's giving you knowledge, might as well just take it. So you know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah, love to hear it, man. I also just appreciate a lot of the content that, my content can resonate with you. I'm glad that I am able to provide, that free information for you. And I love that, obviously we had the previous conversation. Now we're here and now we can even go deeper, right? We can go into the specifics. This isn't just general information. This is really just basic, like this is applied information to your situation and how we're going to get you to succeed. So in terms of the next steps for this call, I want to essentially just roadmap out what we discussed. So the before and kind of thinking about, a couple deeper questions, I'll go into the solution in terms of the 4 pillars. I'll take you through like a little presentation of how I'm going to apply those to you. And then we'll talk about it again, obviously, in terms of moving forward. Cool. I want to ask you, in terms of your before situation, how do you currently feel about your routine and results?
Well, currently I feel the results-wise not so good.
Okay. First and foremost, off to a great start. You had a really good frame, a really good, powerful frame. Took control of the call, said, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to talk about. This is the process. And then you went into good discovery of figuring out, okay, why are we on this call? And tell me a little bit about your current situation. So far, everything is going really good.
Currently, as my status or how I feel towards the workout, I feel a little bit great. For the last 3 years, I've been, participating in Lent. So that's been helping with the whole process. But before that, I've always struggled with working out on and off, either lacking motivation or not seeing results that I just completely give up. So yeah, my goal right now is just to try to get a little bit more in tune with myself, a little bit more healthy, a little bit more like toned up and stuff, and hopefully turn this into like not only just like right now, but like a lifestyle kind of thing. So
yeah, that's the goal. You hit it spot on. I think that is super important to understand that it's not just like a small shift within the things that we're going to talk about, like nutrition, like new training. It's really just a shift within lifestyle, right? And it's doing that in a way that is not going to rock the boat too much. It's not going to shock you out of the system. It's not going to provide any type of really rigid restriction. It's all about kind of figuring out where we can make these small changes, applying the changes over time, and making sure it's sustainable, right? I want to kind of ask you a little bit further in depth with that one question. You were kind of talking about how for Lent every year you do really, really well with kind of adhering to your, I don't want to call them restrictions, but they're essentially restrictions, right? You adhere to this, whether that's no drinking, no whatever. What does it look like outside of those 40 days of the year? How do you feel, after you come off Lent, or how do you feel, when it's not this time of the year?
Yeah, in terms of the routines, I do get a little bit more sloppy afterwards. I do love alcohol, so every once in a while when I get to indulge, maybe I'd like a little bit go further than that. But other than that, yeah, it wasn't until some of your videos pointed out that the drinking, the smoking, and some of the little things, the junk food, really do affect my motivation, my energy, my how to like stay more positive and stuff. So ever since I've been doing Lent, I've been noticing these things get better. But as soon as I get back on the horse of drinking and smoking,
Yeah.
I just get completely derailed.
Yeah, man, it's a slippery slope. I feel that, and that's like a hard part. The bigger roadblock that a lot of people face, right? They can do this commitment, whether that is like even during like New Year's resolutions or even Lent, where they can commit to a short amount of time, whether that's Lent, 40 days, a month, however many months, but even like 3 months, that's a pretty long time to commit to something. But after you bring back those restrictions, fair game, right? It's like you're just like, damn, like I get to drink again, I get to eat some good food, and there's nothing wrong with that. And we'll go into obviously everything is good in moderation, and I think that you should have those things, within your lifestyle. It's just all about balance. It's all about having a plan, and I want to show you how easy it is to kind of apply these simple changes that are going to help you stay on track outside of those 40 days of the year. In terms of specifics, I want to ask you whether that's training, nutrition, even routine or mindset.
Great questions. A lot of people have a tendency to like over talk in this section. They actually steal the microphone, but like you're giving insight, kind of pointing out what he's doing right, also what he's doing wrong. And what I really liked about this is that like you said, we're going to show you how easy this process is. So you're making it seem like the process is going to be done for him. You're doing a really, really fantastic job here. And then you're also asking questions to dive deeper into his specific situation, right? You're not asking questions that are pre-scripted that you're just checking off down the boxes, but you are finding a piece of information that he is giving you, and then you're digging deeper and then deeper and deeper, which is fantastic. So far, Discovery is pretty solid. And you're also building a case for him too, because these are all things that you can then use at the end of the call.
I'm like sitting there like typing out like
exactly.
like
You could use it as leverage against him as to why he needs to do this.
What would you like to currently change within what you're doing?
Definitely the routine and the nutrition. I can't even say which one's number one, which one's number two. I feel like both of them are super important to me and what I like as well.
Okay. Why is that? Let's break that down into two different parts. So why is the routine important to you?
I work as a server at a restaurant, and usually kind of like mixing schedules. You'll never get like a complete set schedules. Some people call out, some people are sick. Whenever you're short staffed, you're expected to fill that kind of that time. And like, let's say you got a schedule to go work out at this time, or you're used to running at this time, and all of a sudden next week you're like, oh, I can't do that no more. So it's always interchanging schedules for me.
And then within that schedule change, you're kind of talking about how it's hard to balance fitness itself, right? And even nutrition on top of that, right? Within that schedule, because there's so many changing variables in terms of just your time, your commitment. I'm sure it affects your sleep, obviously. And then you have other things like, the thing that happened last night, personal things. And it's just a whole mess, right? It's just this thing of like, there's no consistency. And so it probably is super chaotic in your brain, even when you're trying to schedule it out, right? So when we talk about nutrition, right? What would you like to change within that? I know that we didn't really go into that in the last call, but I want to kind of speak about that in detail right here.
Well, for me, mainly, it'll be exactly learning portions or exactly what is good for you and what is not. Because over time you hear tips of like, for example, pork is horrible for you. Don't eat pork. Steak is delicious, but at the same time, it's better if you stay away kind of thing. Some people say if you eat too much red meat, it could also be bad in other instances. So I never know what's right and what's over exaggerated.
Yeah, that's one of the downfalls of social media is you have all of these nutrition experts that are coming at you. It's like, don't eat eggs or don't eat red meat. You're eating too much protein, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
and then you're not eating enough eggs. You're not eating enough meat.
Yeah, exactly. On the other end too, And so it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to know? What am I supposed to do? So, okay, that makes sense. I'll ask you a generalized question for both of those, right? So we want to change the routine, obviously to have more balance. We want to change the nutrition, knowledge-wise, just kind of being able to navigate those day to day. Why is it important to you to change both of those things?
Well, earlier you were speaking and you kind of pointed out that one of the biggest key things is to try to, if you're going to make this into a lifestyle, it's not necessarily about you're finishing this life, let's jump into something new. You want to incorporate yourself in there so you don't lose the motivation or so I don't disconnect from it. So it'll still be you're living your life. It's just now you do things a little bit differently. So that's when I see like influencers or athletes or personal trainers like you do stuff like that. I'm like, yo, that's what I'm kind of looking for. Although you guys get paid for it, I'm just an average Joe. That's not my job. I have to do other stuff, but I still kind of want to have that healthy pattern, healthy routine where you get up and you do your workouts.
Yeah, I feel that, man. It's really important to have that sustainability, especially obviously, I'm talking about your routine, right? And I think that it's important to note that it's transitioning into something that is sustainable, something that you can adhere to on a daily basis, something that you can be consistent with, make it a lifestyle, right? It's not about just committing to restriction for a certain amount of time. It's about changing your habits for good, right? So with all that being said, I want to ask you, we talked about initially, you want to drop anywhere from 30 pounds, you want to kind of tighten up certain areas. In terms of schedule, you want to set structured routine. I want to ask you, what is your end goal? How do you think doing all this is going to make you feel in terms of achievements? Let's kind of break it down into two different questions, right? So what is your end goal?
Be comfortable.
Are you uncomfortable right
Big time.
now?
As a person who gets like,
okay.
No, as a person who has like overactive sweat glands, being a bit on the heavier side, a lot of heat. When I'm working at a restaurant, every once in a while, it's not comfortable for nobody. So
right. Okay. So that's just feeling comfortable within your own skin, right? And just kind of the confidence that stems from that. Okay. Do you have anything else that you're looking to achieve? Obviously, we kind of went through the specifics on what you want to achieve within the weight loss and stuff like that. But is there anything else in terms of your end goal?
I just want to be able to move around. I'm getting up there in age, so I feel like sooner or later. I mean, I don't have any kids now or anything like that, but in the future, want to be able to be mobile. My eldest brother, that dude's like he likes to work out himself and this and that. He works 24/7, but he's still like a very hands-on football training kind of dad. So
you touched on a great point there, which is like the longevity aspect, right? I run into a lot of people that their reasoning is, I guess it's like a now or never approach, but it's more so like, if you don't use it, you lose it. And this whole idea of you need to make time for the things that matter now and prioritize those things so that you don't have to deal with them later on, right? And for you, in a sense, it's about your function. It's about your longevity. It's about feeling comfortable in your own skin. It's about confidence, right? It's about being able to essentially just have confidence in your own skin and know that you are exactly who you say you are and you do the things you say that you do, right? So end goal accomplished. You're jacked, strong, lifestyle's great, routine routine is good. How is this going to make you feel?
Well, I don't mean to sound naive, but if I for some reason,
So far, yeah, everything's good. One thing that I always like doing is that people will always give you a very vague goal. And so you kind of have to help them solidify what that actually looks like, kind of like a exercise. In this situation, he says, I want to be comfortable in my own skin. I want to be able to be mobile. I want to be able to, have longevity as I get older. So again, that's kind of vague. It's not like a powerful vision. And you want to do this for both his current situation and his desired situation. So what I would have done is kind of added in a little bit of details to help him actually see what that looks like to be successful. So you say, okay, cool, man. So in a year from now, you want to be able to put on a smaller size shirt while you're at work, right? Right now, you're probably in a double XL. You want to fit into a large, right? You want to be able to walk into your shift and have everybody asking you, man, did you lose 30 pounds? Like, did you look good, right? You want to be able to work the entire shift without sweating, without smelling, without, popping out your shirt like this, getting to a little bit of air. You want to be able to not have to run in the back and, sweat yourself off. You want to be strong. You want to be able to make that whole shift, take off your shirt, and it's still clean, right? That's the end, right? And you also want to be able to finish that work shift and then go on a run after because you have that much energy. So like, that's what I would do with people when they give very vague goals. Like, I just want to feel comfortable. Okay, like let's actually paint a vision of what that actually looks like for you, right? Because that's what we can hold them to at the end of the call. Now, if this guy said he wanted to go, like, I know you like to go to raves and Los Angeles and stuff. Let's say that this guy is into the same stuff and he keeps saying like, oh, I want to be comfortable when I go to raves. And be like, okay, cool. So you want to be able to pull up and be one of those jack dudes at the raves that takes his shirt off and, isn't sweating all over anybody when you're pushing through the crowd. Girls are putting their hands on you because you're warm, not cold and sweaty, right? People are, giving you compliments, calling you names just because out of respect. You want to be that guy, right? So you kind of plant that vision. It's like Inception. You want to plant that vision in them for them so that way they can have a little bit more clarity on what success looks like, right?
Some more details on the end goal.
Yeah. And they're not going to give it to you either, right? Because they've never actually thought about it. You have to give it to them. And then same thing with the current situation too, right? You kind of have to paint that vision of what their day-to-day life looks like. So you say, hey, so what I'm understanding is right now you're putting on a shirt that's a little bit maybe too tight, maybe too big, a bigger size than you want to. You're sweating at work. The shirt's probably a little stinky. No one's flirting with you at work because you're wondering, why are these kitchen cooks in the back getting all these server girls? Like, because I worked at a restaurant, that's how it went down, right? And so you kind of want to downplay the current situation to let him realize like this actually kind of sucks. So that's what I would do.
Telling myself that if I feel comfortable within my own body, I can finally feel comfortable out there as well. And then I feel like that, like you said, end goals accomplished and this and that. I feel like maybe I can actually be out there, be a little social butterfly or something. So
okay, yeah, I love that, bro. I love that. Be out there, be a social butterfly. Do you feel, and I don't mean to get too like personal, but do you feel like the current situation limits you in terms of like that, like in terms of your ability to even just like express yourself a little bit, or how does that?
I don't think that my body does. I just think the mental aspect behind it does. Like for example, when you go out with friends, you're out clubbing, you're dancing, and girl just happens to grab the love handle. And I'm just like, oh, dude, just Okay. So it's always in my own head, but still, like I feel like once in the future, I probably wouldn't even care. Go ahead, grab it. You know what I mean? There's no there for that.
Nah, shirts off at the club, bro. That's what
that's number one goal right there.
4 buttons down minimum. Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's awesome, bro. I love to hear that from you. I think that's really powerful to speak in terms of being a social butterfly. In terms of it's not just about like the physical part, but it's the translation of having control over that is going to translate to confidence outside your body as well. Confidence inside and outside of the gym. That's awesome. Those are 2 things that are really hitting home. Now I want to kind of ask a little bit deeper. We're going to continue to kind of peel back these layers because I love your answers so far. You're doing awesome. Why is now a good time? So I kind of brought up, people say now or never, longevity, this and that. You have all this stuff going on. You have this crazy schedule going on. I'm sure you have other personal life things. Why is now a good time to do all this stuff?
Well, I don't mean to rip somebody's quote off, but there's a saying that it's like the best time to start was yesterday, but it's started too late. Better to do it now. But like I said, I've been wanting this since I was like a kid, but it's always on and off. As a kid, especially as a kid, when I loved the cheeseburgers, when I loved all that stuff in my head, I'm like, obviously I never lost weight, so I might as well just give it up, continue just being yourself, and then over time it just repeats the cycle, years and years on in. So
yeah, so it's kind of at the point where we're putting foot down, right? And I think that the universe has aligned in terms of it's brought us together in this conversation. No better time to start than now. You've kind of been, it's almost like you've been mentally building this moment in terms of the commitment, right? In terms of wanting to officially start something new, in terms of putting your foot down, being like, okay, I actually want to change for good. I want to, yield different results instead of kind of repeating that cycle over and over and over, right? Kind of piggybacking off of that question, and I don't mean to be repetitive with it, but I want to ask again, why is this important to you?
Just trying to be healthy, to be honest. Like in my head, I can't, I feel like the confidence, like you said earlier, from not having what I feel like it's supposed to be. I think that really messes up my mental and every other aspects in my life, professional and this and that. And I feel like if I can just accomplish this, if I can be, how do I say, disciplined enough to take care of myself mentally and physically, I feel like anything else would just be just another roadblock that I need to knock down. So like it's like a mental thing for me, honestly.
For sure, yeah, it is for a lot of people. I think that the longer you're within fitness and the further down the road you go, you do realize it is a mental game. You do realize that, yeah, it's cool, like, exercising and all that, but it's like the mental benefits of exercise, and even just having fitness implemented into your lifestyle, not just the literal workouts, but like having a routine and like, being disciplined for the gym. That mental aspect, it bleeds, every other part of your life. And in terms of knowing that you can take care of yourself, having confidence within inside and outside of the gym, mentally cleaning up just all the clutter that you have, and kind of, like I said, it bleeds in every other aspect. It bleeds in your job, your personal relationships, how you present yourself, and it goes way further than, what you initially mentioned was just trying to be healthy, right? It's kind of just, there's these layers that you continue to go down. And I think that it's important to kind of, again, thank you for sharing all this. I know that some of it's really personal. I appreciate the transparency and when someone's able to open up to me. But I want to ask you, if I can help you come up with a solution. So if I can help you come up with a solution with the workouts, with the nutrition, with gaining the confidence, is this something that you'd be interested in?
Yes. The only thing that kind of terrifies me is once again losing motivation or getting some kind of like full transparency. Maybe getting like some sort of like mental breakdown for a second and just be like, completely, you know what? Don't want to answer the phone today. Don't want to get up today. Don't, you know what I mean? Kind of throw the towel.
No, I hear that, and it can be really hard when you face those moments of love, right? And I think that and I don't want to assume, but obviously you bring that up, right, from personal experience, right? You've kind of gone through these moments of holy shit, I'm super stressed. Yeah, dude, it sucks. Like I know how that feels, and I want you to know that it's 10 times. I don't want to say easier, but when you have somebody there with you, walking you through it, and I'm not just talking about from just a coaching perspective. You can even talk about from like a homie's perspective or somebody that you can go to. It makes it sometimes easier to have somebody to relate to talk to about it, to kind of take a load off and externally like alleviate yourself with that, right? And I think that it's super hard within fitness to tackle all these things at once because you're fighting all these battles by yourself. You're fighting your training. You're physically tired. You're mentally stressed. Your nutrition, your body, your hormones are all lax because you're trying to eat more protein and calorie deficit, this and that. And then it's like you have all this mental stuff going on. It's like you got your personal life, you got work. And it's like holy shit. You need some type of release, right? And so I'm telling you that it's okay to think about those things in terms of like the mental breakdowns, in terms of having those days where you just like don't want to do anything. You just want to be a little hermit, stay in your room, watch some anime, Netflix, whatever it is. Like I get that, and I think that it's important to recognize that it's okay to lean on people, and it's okay to have a support system, and it's okay to have somebody there to relate to you in terms of, like I said, externally alleviating and relieving yourself of that. So again, thank you for sharing all this, Brian. I know that it's super personal and it's transparent, but it's so powerful when I can get on a phone call with a stranger and just talk to you about these things and you just open up, and it's so powerful hearing your story because I just love hearing the different perspectives that people are able to provide. So okay, I want to kind of go into, I guess you call it pitch, but I want to talk about the solution I'm going to be able to provide for you, right? I want to talk about road mapping. I want to talk about how we're going to kind of break down this word.
Yeah, this is fantastic, bro. This is really, really good. You kind of hit an objection, and his objection was all internal. Like, I don't want to fail myself, and you handled this pretty early on, which is great. I'm very curious to see what the actual objection is at the end of the call, but so far the discovery process was awesome, right? He gave you a lot of information. I just don't know, because I know you're not like a super aggressive fucking arm wrestler. No. What it might have to come down to is just holding him accountable to everything that he said in the beginning of the call, right? We haven't got there yet, obviously, but as soon as people hear price, like when they're on the call, their number one most important thing is their goals. But as soon as they hear price, all of a sudden they forget everything about their goals, and their number one important thing is money, right? And so what you have to do when you handle the financial objection, you have to reprioritize them again. You have to realign them with their number one goal and kind of hold them accountable to everything that they said, and also help them understand that their fitness goals is more important than the money in their bank account.
So in terms of what I want to be able to provide for you, right? I want to be able to provide clear-cut structured workouts with nutritional guidance that are both fluid and adaptable based upon progress and preference, right? That's kind of a mouthful. Let's break that down. I want to be able to provide workouts that are simple, efficient, and optimized towards progress while maintaining a high level of interest, ensuring that you avoid the feeling of being overwhelmed. So I'm not just going to give you this massive Excel sheet being like, hey bro, here's your workouts for the entire 6 months, go ahead. It's like, no, I'm going to break down every single workout for you week by week, day by day, exercise by exercise, making sure that you are comfortably taken care of, making sure that you know exactly what you're doing, making sure that you have any, help that you need in terms of form, in terms of like how to progressive overload. I'm going to have all that loaded for you, and we'll go into the details of that after I kind of finish this section. But I want to make sure that you're not alone in your workouts. You're not going to be guessing, how many bicep curls you're going to need or how many miles you're going to have to run per week, right? It's all going to be programmed out for you. In terms of nutrition, it's tricky because, each trainer is different, but from my experience and my perspective, I want to be able to provide nutritional guidance in the form of educational based practices, right? So the goal is to really equip you with the tools, the skills, and the mindset that is going to help you change your relationship with food from a non-restrictive perspective. So you've heard me talk about, I'm okay with you drinking Sapporo's. I'm okay with you eating in and out with the homies. What I'm not okay with is like the binging and saying that you can't have those things, and the restriction and thinking that you have to eat salads and protein shakes and that's it, right? It's all about sustainability. It's all about real life incorporation. And so it's my job to help you essentially change your relationship, change the way from an educational standpoint, change the way you think about food and how you approach it. Start looking at nutrition labels, looking at the chicken skewers, looking at them and being like, damn, these kind of have a high amount of protein in them. They'll be quick, a quick and easy meal. Doing things like that is like so simple, but it's so powerful and it's so impactful for your nutritional journey. And I want to teach you how to do that in every aspect of nutrition, right? In terms of accountability, I want to keep it high with, obviously reflecting upon progress, laying out the next steps moving forward, essentially, explaining to you what we're working on and why. I want to make sure that you understand what we're doing, not just executing on like a client level in terms of like, hey, you have to work out 3 times this week and track your macros and eat 180 grams per protein. It's like, no, I want to explain why we're doing it so that you understand deeper to where you could take that, learn from it, and develop these habits and the lifestyle that you need in order to take this with you years down the road, years after we're done working together, years after you accomplish all these things, because your goals are going to change, right? It's an evolution, adapting forever of fitness and longevity and how it applies to you. You still with me? I want to offload a lot of the work for you to where I'm basically telling you, hey, this is what we're doing, why we're doing it, this is what's working, this is what I don't think is working. Essentially taking out all the guesswork for you, ensuring that we're on the right track to hit your goals in a timely fashion, ensuring that you're taken care of in terms of you know exactly what you need to execute for that week, how you're going to execute it, and what to expect moving forward in terms of, intensity with the workouts, nutrition, updating stuff, routine, and then all that sort of stuff. Okay?
Time for.
Okay. We're going to break down those pillars. Okay. So if you remember, the 4 pillars are training, nutrition, accountability, mindset. I'm going to explain how they work in terms of like the literal deliverables, like what you get out of it. And I want to explain how it's going to apply to you on the personal level and how we're going to make them work for you and how it's going to be advantageous for your progress and results, right? So I want to share my screen really quick. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So
One thing I just want to note, that was really good. I want to emphasize you made it sound like easy for him, which is great. That's what I want, right? I want you to make it sound like you're doing everything for them, right? Which is exactly what's happening in your program. I'm just saying this because a lot of coaches who are going to be watching this call review, when they talk about the program, they're like, you're going to have access to an app, you're going to have access to, macros, you're going to have access, and it just sounds like a lot of work. But you're saying, I'm going to do everything for you and I'm going to make this as easy as possible. I'm going to literally tell you what to do. And all you have to do is open the app and check what's going on. And I'm going to monitor everything for you. So like you did everything good there. So I just want to emphasize that point.
Okay. Training first. That uses for all these things, training, nutrition. And my coach is great because it has all this built into it. I used to use 3 different platforms and it was really confusing because there was different, apps talking to each other. There's like different things for different boiled down into this one simple software platform that you're going to use for everything, right? So for your workouts, I want to build you essentially a custom nutrition plan that in your current situation, I think that you're frustrated because you don't really, and I mean this respectfully, you don't really know what you're doing within the gym, right? You don't know what exercises, how much to do and stuff like that. So after we implement this workout structure, you're going to have confidence knowing exactly what you're doing when you're walking into the gym, and you're going to know exactly how to execute it, right? You're going to know exactly what exercises you're doing, how to do the proper form, how the intensity. You don't have to guess. Like I said, we're taking out all the guesswork, right? You're no longer going to feel embarrassed running on the treadmill. Essentially, you're questioning what you're doing. You told me that you try to run, that you try to lift sometimes during the week. I'm going to create a custom program that obviously allows you to do both of those things, but is really, I'm going to create a custom program that is easy to follow within structure and foundation. That's going to help you achieve the dream body that you want. So dropping down 30 pounds, working on all those areas. And I'm sure we'll get into the nitty gritty in terms of like certain lifts and strength and all that. But obviously, you also told me that you feel like you're not getting it, right? And sometimes that you don't really know what's going on in the gym, and this and that. But essentially, I'm going to build a program for you where we're going to track every single little lift. We're going to track all your weights. We're going to track everything for you and ensuring that we are making progress. And I'm going to show you the physical or the literal progress of all these lifts going up, of all your strength going up, and how all your workouts are improving over time. So I'm just you from guessing to full confidence in knowing that what we're doing is beneficial for our progress. You're going to get all your workouts listed out here. You're going to be able to see how far out your workouts go. Typically, I map out workouts anywhere from 3 or 4 weeks, like a month or so. And if you need to change, we can. The great thing about the software is that it's not an Excel sheet where I have to email back to you and then we have to change it. It's like if you tell me that there's an exercise in there that you hate, that you like, booking split something like that, whatever it is, I can change it right then and there, and it can be updated for you by the time you get to the gym, right? Within the training pillar or within the workouts, you're going to have demo explanation videos to ensure that you know how to do exercises that you've never done before. And it's literally me too. I recorded all my own demo videos explaining how to execute the exercise, what muscles are targeting, how to avoid risk injury, and it's essentially free personal training out of this. Your workouts are laid out for you in terms of we'll develop a split, whether that's push pull legs. It depends on how many days you can be consistent in the gym. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about timing. We can talk about cardio. We can talk about different splits. There's a whole bunch of different things that once we get into the software and into the nitty gritty, we can go through. But essentially, you're gonna have all your workouts, the family, whatever it may be, bro. I want to make sure that you're prepared for that. And you have confidence in knowing that you don't have to bring like a Tupperware chicken and rice with you, right? It's like you should be able to enjoy the shit that's in front of you. You should be able to enjoy life. So that's the whole point of it. It's not supposed to be salad, chicken, rice. You're supposed to you're going to be able to achieve results while still enjoying things like beer, like weed, like In and Out, right? In terms of how we actually do this, what I essentially do is I put you with any resources that you need in order to bring you up to a certain level of education. So having the knowledge and the basics of nutrition, calories, macros, food is like life, bro. I'm not saying nothing like in terms of weekly check-ins. Every single week on Mondays, your check-in form is due. So your check-in form will prompt in my Coach AI, and it's a set of questions, the same questions every single week. It's going to ask you how's your training, how's your nutrition, tell me when, tell me loss, challenge, when is the next check-in quota due. Communication is always open. Obviously, you're hitting up 24/7. I answer within 24 hours. Obviously, you're able to schedule one call, whether that's a Zoom call. I leave this open. It's not required. I have some clients that take advantage of this, and ones that do, they essentially get free.
As soon as you brought up the recording, like the fear light went off. Like, no, it down perfectly. As soon as you said that, like maybe it can help your form because being efficient is benefited to me. You know what I mean? So then I was like, dude, I may not be comfortable, but if it's free training, it's like the helping out, it's to improve, it's to be more efficient. I don't see why not. So
100%, bro. You're spot on. It's easiest to transition. Like obviously, we're gonna put you in the gym first and just have you do your workouts in this dark place, right? This seclusion, this whole hermit idea of depression, and you want to just shut out the world, right? It's my job to help uplift you, and to make sure that you don't pull you out of the dark places that you're in with the depression, with the seclusion. I'm gonna transition you back into a place of happiness and enjoyment, because that's what you should be. I'm gonna bring you into the light with confidence, not just in your body, but mentally knowing that. Again, what do you think?
Okay, that was great. I loved it. What I really loved about it is that you not only told them what you're going to do, but you also tied it back into how it's actually going to help them, right? And again, this is just for the sales call review's sake. Every single piece of information in your deliverables needs to somehow tie back into how it's going to solve a specific problem for them or how it's going to help them achieve their goal, right? So when you were talking about nutrition, you said, hey, you have a problem of not knowing what to do in the gym. And so this piece, this deliverable here of having your workouts programmed for you is going to solve your problem of not knowing what to do in the gym. And then for another piece, you could say for nutrition, right? You have a problem of eating foods that you love, but eating too many foods that you love to the point to where, you're not going to be on track. This is going to allow you to eat the foods that you love and stay on track. So you're solving a problem. You could also tie it into a goal too, right? So you could take the same example. Having your workouts programmed for you is going to allow you to lose weight so you can take your shirt off at the club, right? With 4 buttons off, 4 buttons down minimum, right? Having your nutrition programmed for you is going to allow you to drop 30 pounds and not be so sweaty when you're right. So every single deliverable gets either tied to solving a challenge that they discussed they had or achieving a goal that they had as well. So that was really good. Now let's get into the fun stuff.
Honestly, it's a little bit like I'm being thrown in the water right away, but you can do like you've been this for years and years on end. Someone's throwing you a bone. I feel like you might as well just take it. So
yeah, I want to make sure that you don't feel overwhelmed. I know that I do talk really fast and that this is a huge change up in terms of like it's a lot to implement, like training, nutrition, family mindset all at once. But I promise you, once we get into the nitty gritty, it's really not that overwhelming. Like the first initial week is just a lot of absorption in terms of learning the systems and kind of developing awareness around the software. But it's not like I'm going to throw you in this like 6-day split, macro counting, and then sleep tracking and all this and that. It's like the first week is really just awareness in terms of like, okay, we need to identify and where do you want to start with the nutrition. And it's my job to do that for you. I want to make sure that you are taken care of in terms of that you don't feel overwhelmed. I want to make sure that you are slowly transition into this newer lifestyle, and that we slowly build up these new habits, these new actions, these new things that are consistently appearing within our new lifestyle in order to avoid that feeling of being overwhelmed and in order to avoid that feeling of you being thrown into the deep end, right? So do you believe that, this program, me as your coach, is necessary and is something that you're willing to commit to in order to build this new future for yourself?
I don't want to rush into the answer because I feel like the answer instantly wants to say yes, but in my head I'm like, this is the first time I'll have any experience with a personal trainer, and honestly, you seem to be one of those people that really care about it. So in my head I was like, I think I want to jump in the water.
Okay, all right, bro, let's do it. Before we kind of wrap up in terms of summarizing and then even talking about onboarding, do you have any kind of final questions? Not even just about the program, but like any questions for me as a trainer, any questions just overall, anything you've ever been knowing to die about, or anything that you've been dying to know about fitness, anything like that?
Not honestly, at the moment I'm still like just in awe of the whole like opportunity. So in my head I'm drawing a blank right now. So
okay, it's all good, bro. I'm sure you're gonna have questions as we go. Again, I just want to make sure that you're taken care of. I want to make sure that this is a slow and steady process. Slow and steady wins the race. You're gonna hear me use that phrase a ton. The biggest thing and the biggest mistake people make is they jump into things too quick and they commit to too much, right? So I think that this is honestly a perfect segue for you because you are in this kind of semi-restriction period with the Lent and with this mindset, and it's kind of a perfect opportunity to kind of segue into something that's a little bit more sustainable, right? So moving forward, we'll talk about contracts. So what I think for you is perfect would be like a 6-month contract, a 6-month commit, right? I think that 6 months would set us up perfectly kind of leading into the spring, into the summer, give us enough time to where we can accomplish these goals, like losing 20 to 30 pounds, like cleaning up your routine and your habits and adapting your lifestyle. But it's also obviously not forever. And I do have, a 12-month contract, but obviously people do just re-sign and recommit after the 6 months, right?
yeah.
So in order to cost of the 6-month program, right? So you can either pay it in 2 ways, right? It's either going to be paid in full or paid monthly. They're both the same price. I just offer the payment plan in case you need to pay it on a monthly basis. So the 6-month program is either going to be $22.50 as a paid in full upfront, or it's going to be $375 per month. Which option do you think works better?
Something I would have done in the section where you asked him if he had any questions, I would also kind of retie him down and see if he wants to do it. Like make sure he's sold in the program. So almost as if you're just about ready to get him started, but you just haven't given him the price yet. So you could say, hey man, that's the full program. I'd love to hear your thoughts, see if you have any questions. Awesome, man. Now, there be any reason, any hesitation that would stop you from getting started? Is this something that you want to do? And then there he can say, I have a vacation coming up or might need to talk to my spouse. And you can kind of pre-handle some objections before you give the price and before everything kind of goes out the window. So it gives you an opportunity to kind of work through some minor objections that might possibly come up before you give the price point. So that's one thing, is pre-handle the objections before you give the price after you pitch the program to see if there's any wrinkles that need to be ironed out. And then what I would say is, you love the program. We've worked through some of these objections. Do you want to do this, right? You want to tie him down. Is this program for you? Do you want to do this, right? Get a little bit of a commitment from him to make sure that before you even talk about the prices, he is sold on the program and there's nothing else that's going to come up. Because like something we get with PTBI all the time, like, dude, sometimes we will get objections that will stop people from joining the program before we even get to the price, right? People are like, I don't know if I'm going to have the time to do this. And it's like, we know it's not the price because the price was never even revealed, right?
Yeah.
And so now we're able to handle objections before the price even comes up. So you do want to make sure that every single objection is wrinkled out before the price comes up. And then once you handle those objections, then you can kind of get him to commit in the sense of like, all right, do you want to do this program? Let's talk about finances. Let's talk about programs. The other thing I like that you did is that you diagnosed him a program. You said, based on your situation and what you need, I believe that 6 months is going to be the best option for you. Giving people too many options in the beginning can kind of cause a little bit of overwhelm and confusion, but you came in as an expert and authority. You said, hey, this is the program that I think is going to work best for you. And it also allows you to kind of downstep too. If you have a 3-month program, you can kind of bring them down a little bit lower, but that part was good.
I feel like the reason why I try to go through the objections and not ask about there is objections is like, I don't want them to get into their head and think like, is there a reason why I don't want to commit? In terms of like, I want to just ask them about the commitment rather than having them like internalize, like starting to think, okay, like what's wrong with this? Or like, what can I be hesitant about? And I try to do that without asking them, like straight up asking them.
Yeah,
So
I think the reason why it's better to handle it before the price comes out is because then they'll use that as a bullshit reason as to why they're not going to do it.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That objection is going to come out regardless.
regardless.
Yeah. It's going to come out either before or after. And it's a lot harder to do it after when they're also blinded by the price point too.
Yeah.
The full sounds like a better thing, but in my head I'm like, oh, that is, we need some time because the Section 8 person right now, I don't know if you can tell, but so I'm on the low end.
Okay, so you're saying that the paid in full would be better, but it also sounds like you're kind of questioning the monthly too, or talking through that.
No, I'm not a financially responsible person. So in my head, I'm like, I live from check to check. So in my head, I have like no savings or nothing like that. So in my head, I'm like, I am interested. That sounds like I'd rather get it all ahead of time, so I don't have to worry about another bill popping up because that's usually the way I handle my financial responsibilities. A little bit chaotic.
Okay.
So
I want to ask you, we kind of just talked about how we want to change your lifestyle, right? How you want to commit to something, how you need to kind of change this in order to adapt and be comfortable in your own body, in order to have confidence, in order to avoid that feeling of being overwhelmed, having confidence inside and outside the gym, right? I want to make sure that the finances are not something that is the actual roadblock in terms of like what's stopping you. I want to ask you, finances aside, is this something that you're willing to commit to?
yes, but I don't want to put the finances on the side just in case. Like in my head, I'm like, I am willing. I'm scared, but yeah, if I could just get some time before all.
Okay. How much time do you think that you're going to need?
Like about a month and a half. I work as a server, so tips always come easy. easy. And right now, since I'm not smoking or not drinking, I'm saving a whole lot of money. I just, need to have some for rainy day as well.
Okay. Well, you should have told me that, because you just told me that you were saving money. So again, I don't want to pressure you too much, dude. And I don't love this part of the call in terms of, I want to make sure that this is something that fits you. And obviously, just within a financial objection, it's more so just, and I mean this respectfully, your inability to commit to yourself, right? I want you to commit to yourself right here, right now.
Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to go open wallet. He's giving you a really, really clear financial objection here. He's literally saying, I live on Section 8. I spend money check to check. I'm saving money now. I want to do it, but I don't have the money. And now, so you're going for a commitment objection when we haven't solved the financial objection yet, right? So the financial objection needs to be solved with an open wallet. And there's you are a very charismatic person. You'd be surprised how many people are actually comfortable going open wallet. When you do such a great job building rapport and understanding people, then people are a lot more comfortable than you would imagine going open wallet. So let me
I've never done it, and I've always been super. It makes me so uncomfortable, dude. Like, I'm just I don't want to ask to look at your finances and shit. I feel like that's overstepping boundaries, Or
Yes, but when you're on the same side as them, it's not overstepping boundaries in the sense that I'm trying to arm wrestle you into this close, because what you're about to do right now, I can see where it's going. You're about to arm wrestle him into a close.
yeah.
Right? Going open wallet with someone that you build good rapport with is simply, imagine a dad sitting down with a kid trying to solve a math problem. That's what open wallet is. Let me sit down with you. Let's look over your finances and let's figure out a plan that's actually going to work. Right? So in this case, what I would have done is been like, dude, I totally understand if finance is an issue. It sounds like you really want to join this program. Do you feel like if we came up with a solution that would work for you financially, is this something that you'd be willing to commit to? He says, yes, absolutely. If we can make it work. Hey, awesome, man. And look, if we can't come up with a solution today, maybe we can come up with something that we can work towards if you need more time. But let's just lay out the cards on the table so we can see what we're working with. And then from there, we can a solution that will work. Right? He says, cool. Yeah. I'll be like, awesome, man. I'm going to ask you a couple questions just so I can understand your situation. And from there, we'll figure out the best game plan. Now, if you don't mind me asking, man, how much are we working with in terms of saving? How much you have put away in your savings that you can utilize? For example, I had a girl the other day, actually yesterday. She was like, I have a little bit of savings, but that's my emergency fund. I don't touch that money. It's like, hey, no problem. We don't need to touch that money, but just for the sake of clarity, how much is it? Right? And people will sort of give a defense, but if you ask again in a polite way, they'll eventually give you the answer. Right? So I was like, how much are we working with in terms of savings? She's like, I have, a little bit in my savings, but I don't touch that in case of emergencies. I'm like, okay, no problem. But just for the sake of clarity, how much are we working with? She's like $1,000, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Put $1,000 down. Now, how much are you bringing in monthly with your income? And what do you have left over in terms of what you can save and invest, right? She's like, well, I'm bringing in about $2,000 a month. So put that down, income 2,000. And then she goes, and I'm left with about 1,600 left over. I said, disposable, 1,600. And then you can say, okay, now in terms of your credit score, what are we working with, right? She goes, I have a 760. And I said, okay, and do you currently have any credit cards at the moment? She goes, yes. And I said, what's the available balance on it? She goes, 2,500. Now I can see what we're working with. And in this girl's situation, I said, okay, based on our minimum requirement to get you started, 1,000 wouldn't be enough. Also, it's your emergency fund, so we're not going to touch that, right? So that's not an option. Now, based on your income, you do have enough to make an affordable monthly payment. So that is an option. We can work with that. Now, as far as your credit score goes, you have a really great credit score, which means we can easily get you to apply for a 0% credit card. And, if this is something that you want to do, you have 12 months to pay it off at 0%. This will allow you to pay the program in full, get started, make a transformation, pay it off over time, right? You can do the program for 6 months, but have 12 months to pay it off. So that makes it a smaller monthly payment, or your available credit right now is something that you can use as well, right? So those are your options. Now we actually have solutions that we can work with, and now we can get them to commit because we have a logical solution to the financial objection.
Yeah.
However, in this guy's situation, right, we don't know, we have no idea what he's working with, right? So how can we possibly offer a solution that would work and handle the financial objection if we have no freaking clue, right? So let's do an example based on someone who in this guy's situation might be a reality. So awesome, man. How much are we working with in terms of savings? I have $100 in savings. Okay. So that's not going to work, right? How much are we working with in terms of income? I'm making about $800 a month, right? In terms of income. Because let's say he's working at Section 8. Section 8 has income requirements. As soon as you make a certain income, you don't qualify for Section 8. So like you have to be making less than a certain amount. Typically, these people aren't making any money, right? Disposable income, how much we left over? Let's say $150 left over. Credit score is dog poo poo. So let's just say they have a 500 credit score and they have a credit card that's maxed out at $3,000. In this case, you can look at this and say, yeah, you're fucked. I totally understand if you need time to save up for this program, because now you can go ahead and save the embarrassment of trying to close this guy on a commitment when he
Yeah.
knows he can't do it, right? So you could say, hey man, based on your situation, what we're working with here, obviously I'm not going to take your last $100. You're not saving enough monthly to be able to afford a monthly payment, and your credit score is shot. You have a maxed out credit card. There's really nothing that we can do here. Best case scenario is we pay off this credit card and we could put it on a credit card in the future, or raise your income, right? And from there, pretty much the call is over because there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the big thing here. Do you have any questions regarding open wallet handling financial objections?
No, I just think I need to throw the balls to actually do it sometimes. And I think that I can usually tell on like a sales call whether or not they would trust me enough to do like an open wallet based on like how high up their guard is. And this guy definitely was somebody who, even after the first conversation, I could, probably do an open wallet with. So that makes sense.
Yeah. The way
Kind
that
of
you
uncovering the truth.
Yeah, the way that you position an open wallet is really, really important because, like I said, you don't want to make it feel like you're digging into their pockets. You want to make it feel like you're solving a math problem. You're helping them solve a math problem, right?
Yeah.
So the positioning is important. Like, hey, man, I would love to get you in this program. I know finance is an issue. Would you be open to working up a solution that could potentially work in terms of your finances? Okay, perfect. Now, in order for us to do that, we do need to lay out all the cards on the table. Is it okay if we could see what we're working with so that way we can come up with a plan that would make sense for you? Typically, they're always going to say yes. And again, I'm just going to say it again because it's important to drive home. When you ask people a question like how much do you have in savings, at first, they'll never tell you the clear answer. They'll say, oh, I have, a few thousand, or I have a couple hundred, or like I have a good amount, or right. They'll say something like that.
Yeah.
Just say, hey, just for the sake of clarity here, so we could see what we're working with, how much is it? And you have to ask again. You will typically not I don't think there's ever been a case where someone's not comfortable enough to share it because they trust you.
Because they're already doing the open.
Yeah. And that's where trust and rapport comes in play.
Yeah.
I do want to listen to the rest of this call, but based on what I'm seeing, that's like, if we're about to go into handling objections on commitment and we haven't done an open wallet to even know what he's working with, then the next 10 minutes, you might be talking to a fucking brick wall.
That's exactly what happened. He clams up and he basically starts fumbling on his words and he doesn't know what to say. And I felt bad because I was applying too much pressure at that point.
Yeah.
And obviously that's the reason. It's just because,
So when you close on commitment, that only works after you've gone open wallet and you see that they actually have the money, right? If this guy were like, oh, finance is tough, I might have to, save up, but it's like, oh, he had $3,000 saved up. He's making $2,000 a month. He's saving $1,500 a month. Like he obviously has the money. Then that's when we close on commitment.
The commitment. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Do you feel like that was pretty much problem solved?
Kind of, yeah. I would love to hear your reaction though on the rest of the call.
Okay.
This is something that is presented to you, and this is an opportunity that you need to take in terms of what you need to do. That this is going to provide a comfortable environment for you inside your body, outside your body. This is going to help you navigate the gym. This is going to help you kind of knock that routine of saying that you have to get back on the horse in terms of cycling in and out of workouts and nutrition, stuff like that. And I want you to be able to commit to yourself right now. So I want to kind of preface it as this, right, without pushing too hard. Two things are going to happen after this call, right? First option is we're either going to move forward and you're going to accomplish all the goals that we've talked about. You're going to lose that 20, 30 pounds. You're going to know how to navigate the gym and not be ashamed about running on the treadmill anymore. You're going to be comfortable in your own body inside and outside of the gym, right? Or second option, you're going to tell me that, we're going to go our separate ways. And in a month and a half, you're going to say that you're going to reach back out to me and that you're going to have enough money saved up. But in reality, nothing's really going to change and you're going to be in the same place 6 months from now. We're going to have the same conversation in 6 months.
I mean, if I have to give you an answer right now, just because, like I said, I don't want to let down, or I don't want you to make it seem like this has been a waste of time or anything like that. But if it is at all possible, I think right now my best option is to go with number two. And I know it's super counterintuitive and counterproductive as well.
See, but the fact that you're already being aware of that is the red flag in my opinion, because you're able to draw that awareness, right? You're able to kind of make that decision in terms of that that's a bad call. So why make that call?
I don't want to have a pitfall or anything like that, or have the rug pulled from underneath me right now.
In terms of a rug pull and in terms of a pitfall, do you think that your current situation is going to get any better if you don't commit to something?
It sounds a little bit like I think yes. I know, like I said, I know it sounds counterintuitive and counterproductive, but I just feel like if I'm really going to take your resources and, take your help, I want to be 100% sure. I don't want to have any doubt.
And so where's the doubt coming from?
Just gut feeling right now.
Gut feeling of what?
I can't put it in terms, to be honest, or in words.
Okay, that's okay. Obviously, sometimes those emotions come up and we're not able to explain. That's okay. I think that it's the uncomfortable feeling of committing to something. I think that you're uncomfortable with the idea of changing this for good in terms of committing to something that's bigger than anything that you've ever done before, right? So committing to changing your physical routine, committing to changing what you're eating, committing to changing your routine within your work schedule and kind of adapting things around that. And I think that that's okay. I think that we kind of talked about how, you do get into those dark moments sometimes where you kind of want to hermit grab up and just, that's kind of what you're feeling right now, right?
Well, not exactly. I'm still 100% interested, but I'm not like, I just feel like it's not the right moment right now.
Then when is the right moment?
I don't know when.
So if we just talked about that too, bro, at the beginning of the call, right? If not, the best time to start is yesterday.
It's yesterday.
The best time to start is now then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then where does that, you're confusing me in terms of the mindset, in terms of the logic.
Honestly, I feel like I'm confusing myself as well. Maybe I should just like take some time. I apologize.
No, it's okay, bro. I don't, and I feel like I'm providing too much pressure for you. Like, let's just take a deep breath, because I just want you to just relax and assure that, like, you're not hurting my feelings. I don't want to come on too strong. I just want to help you logically think through this, right? I want to help you understand and really kind of come up with this decision in terms of why did we just spend an hour on the phone talking about all of these things that you need to fix and the routine that you need to implement and why it's important to you and what your end goal is going to be when you don't want to decide to change that right here and right now.
Well, I was just trying to like dip my fingers into the knowledge well for a second just to see what it's like. So
okay, so now that you know what it's like, and now that you know what stands on the other side of this commitment in terms of the results, in terms of the positives, right? Why hesitate?
Because like I said, I don't like rushing into any answers. I fail a lot. I do this a lot, and you've even described some people doing that and then end up like kicking themselves in the head about it. So
yeah, but it's harder to do that stuff by yourself in the dark with like where you're at now versus number one, like having someone on your side in terms of a coach. But number two, like being able to navigate that stuff is harder, on your own when you don't commit to something, commit to change and commit to a certain level of, I don't want to sound cheesy, but commit to something, a certain level of greatness in terms of knowing that you're capable of this and knowing that you can accomplish this and that you just need to make the decision to do it.
Yeah, I just don't see myself making that decision right now.
Okay. And that decision stems from the finances or the inability to see.
You can cut it.
I definitely see the value. I think it's more like a mental block and then financials as well.
So you definitely went hard on the guy, which is good. But again, it's like there's a couple things we have to figure out what the logical objection is, right? Because you're kind of giving like smoke screens, like, it's a gut feeling, or like I just need some time, or okay, hey man, I know you like the program. It's what you want to do because you tied him down earlier, right? So you can kind of refer back to that. Like you said that you want to do the program. What's actually stopping you from getting started? Like let's actually figure out together, like remember, I'm on the same side as you. I'm trying to work through this math problem. Let's actually figure out what are the reasons that's stopping you. And he goes, I just don't want to start something and not be able to commit to it fully. Like, hey man, have you ever started a program that's laid out everything so clearly for you and also had a coach that kept you accountable week to week? And he goes, no, I haven't. Be like, okay, well, this would be the first time that you would have someone in your corner monitoring your progress, ensuring that you stay motivated so you can actually stick it through. The other times you failed, but this time is going to be different because of this reason. So you figure out what the objection is, and then you come up with a logical solution and say, awesome, how do you feel? Do you want to do it? Right. And I think that there was another thing, like he kept just like giving like very vague answers, and you kept pressing, right? What you need to do is you need to take a step back and you need to work with him. Like, hey brother, I understand that there's a roadblock here. I know that you also want to do this program. So let's figure out what's actually blocking you and let's come up with a solution together that will help you overcome it. Let's just say he goes, I'm scared of failing. Be like, hey brother, I understand. We've had many people in the very similar situation. Would it be okay if I shared some testimonials with you of clients of mine that have been in your exact shoes that have transformed and seen life-changing results, right? Or you can say, hey, I understand that you're scared of failing. Here are all the reasons why you failed in the past. Here are all the reasons why you're not going to fail this time. He says finances. Obviously, I think finances was probably a pretty big reason here, but we can't solve that unless we go open wallet. And you can't push someone until you know for sure. Right. Yeah. And then the last thing too is I like how you said at the end of this call, two things are going to happen, either achieve your dreams or, you're going to come back. What I would say is kind of repaint, right? So like, hey man, we're faced with two options right now. Option number one is we get you down 30 pounds. We get you four buttons deep in the club. We get the girls holding on to your abs and not your love handles. Or we show up to work sweaty. We show up to work stinky. You got to bring 2 shirts to work because of how much you're sweating. And you're going to go home and smack on Jack in the Box and McDonald's, right? Which do you want? Which is going to be more important for you, right? And then you hold them to obviously the higher accountable vision. And then you say, let's do this. But you also can't challenge someone to commit to saying, let's doing this unless you solve the objection logically, right? So that's my feedback here. I definitely think it was all objection handling. And the reason why we couldn't get anywhere with this guy was because we didn't have a clear objection. In order for us to get a clear objection, we need to be on the same side of the table with them and like really help, like see that like, hey, we're actually trying to help you here. So let's figure out what the roadblock is and let's come up with a solution to help you overcome that, right? Any questions?
No, I think that's just my problem was that when the financial objection came up, I'm like, no, this guy can afford it. And he's just afraid of committing. And I was just like,
yeah.
Fucking go, bro. Come on, just do it. Just fucking do it. So I gotta be,
He did say he's on Section 8 though.
I know. And like, I mean, he's like a server, at IHOP. And like, I knew all these things, but I was just like, because I think for me, it was like when I heard the financial objection, I was like, okay, like valid, whatever. And then I continued to press him, but he didn't bring up the finances again. He was just kind of talking about, oh, I don't know, it's the the right time. I don't want to overcommit and this and that. And I was like, he only brought up the finances just once, and that was it. And so for me, from my perspective, I was like, okay, this guy just needs to fucking commit to this. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it's obvious.
Yeah, I always do open wallet no matter what, because like, dude, I mean, we've seen people who have 6-figure salaries, living paycheck to paycheck, credit card debt, and no way to pay for it.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you can't assume what someone's financial situation looks like until you actually take a look.
I guess I just have to role play some open wallet or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I just, dude, I get so uncomfortable even at the idea of it. I know I've heard you talk about it on sales calls and stuff like that. And I was like, I can't fucking ask them to look at their savings and their wallets
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I think it's just the reps. So
Yeah, I think it's the reps. I also think it's the perspective of like, just imagine that you're a dad sitting down with your kid trying to solve a math problem. That's what it is.
yeah, I think a bigger thing for the objections too is instead of like me trying to come at it from a coaching perspective, more so like figuring out like we're on the same team. Let me
Mhm.
help you figure it out and kind of laying it out for them because they're not able to see it. So
Yep, cool.
Okay.
Awesome, brother. Good work. This is a really great call. Appreciate you letting me review it. All right, brother. Peace.
appreciate it, Zach. See you later.